Hi, Matt Yankee here, Greenhouse Manager at the University of Minnesota Duluth. Today, I'd like to talk about a very basic horticultural task that we call up-potting. Up-potting basically involves repotting a plant that has outgrown its current container and putting it into a larger container to allow further development and growth. Here I have a plug tray of some common milkweed plants. These were started from seed last year, I think relatively late in the year, and I overwintered them basically in a refrigerated room to kind of simulate nature's dormant period. They've emerged, and you can see they are ready to be up-potted, so we're going to talk about up-potting. Now I should say, these plants are eventually going to be planted in the ground. I just want to allow them to get a little bit bigger. It's still too cold to plant outside. When you're considering what to plant them in, you kind of have, I guess there's many options, but it kind of comes down to, do you want a round or a square pot? And I would say the advantage of the round pot is mostly aesthetic. Tends to be more aesthetically appealing than a square pot. The square pot, the advantage to the square pots is that they fit tight together when you put them on some kind of a tray or flat. So just to minimize space, I should say maximize space, we'll be using the square pots that fit really nicely into one of these flats. So here is our soil that we're going to use. You always want to slightly moisten the soil before using it to up-pot a plant. You don't want it sopping wet, and you certainly don't want it dry. So I usually just add, with a watering can, a little bit at a time, and then I work it in. And you want it to kind of clump together, but not to be super wet. You don't want it muddy. So I would just work it in a little bit. This seems like it might need a little bit more, so we're going to add a little more. We'll probably do. After I pot them up, I will definitely water them again. And this is just kind of a mix that we make here in the greenhouse ourselves. Kind of has a component of kind of a loamy topsoil component. Then it has peat moss, it has vermiculite, perlite, and that's pretty much it. And then we add some a nutrient solution to it to kind of provide it with some pre-mixed nutrition for the plants. We use a lot of other soils. This is, I guess, our more general one. Now, some of these milkweed plants are quite big, considering the plug size is really small. So they are going to be quite root bound. I would imagine with some of the bigger stemmed plants, you could just simply pull them up right out of the plug, just by the base of the stem. If it was a slightly weaker plant or a smaller plant, you could use a tool, any kind of tool, just to kind of pry it out, scoop it out, basically, on a smaller one. But I think most of these, I will just be able to, carefully grab the lower part of the stem, gently pull it out, and pot it up. So what that looks like, it's very simple. I'll add a certain amount of soil to the pot. I'll insert the plug, and then I'll top it off with soil. Now, when pretty much planting anything, you always want to, and you can kind of tap it down. You always want to retain, most pots have a lip at the top, and use that lip as kind of a guideline as to where that lip starts is where about you want the surface of the soil. You want to have some kind of head space, a little bit of a gap between the top of the pot and the top of the base of the soil. That way when you water the plant, you have a space where the water can accumulate and then slowly percolate through the soil. And any excess would then run out the holes in the bottom of the pot. It's really important to maintain that headspace. If you have the soil flush with the top of the pot and you water it, most of that water is just going to run off the top. It won't accumulate and then percolate into the soil. All right, so there's another milkweed potted up, and we have our little flat, and we have the milkweeds. Why milkweed? Why grow milkweed? Few reasons. It's a native plant. This one is native to our region. It is beautiful, produces very beautiful flowers. It's also really an important pollinator plant. Specifically, and this is obviously really well known, is the monarch butterfly. The monarch butterfly's caterpillar stage feeds voraciously on milkweed leaves. It's a really important plant, and with pollinators on the decline worldwide, it's important to plant the types of plants that support them. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching. I look forward to releasing a number of other videos on a number of different horticultural topics, from very basic things like this to more advanced. And if you have any requests for videos, please feel free to let me know in the comments section. Thanks a lot.